Northern Fringe Festival acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of Townsville, the Wulkaruka of Gurrumbilbara and Yumbanan and Bindal people. We pay our respects to their cultures, their ancestors and their elders, past, present and all future generations. My name is Lachlan Welsh and I'm the Festival Coordinator of the Northern Fringe Festival. I welcome you to the first ever Northern Fringe Festival web series. This series aims to educate, empower and inspire the artists and arts organisations from Townsville and the surrounding areas to fully embrace Fringe. We have a long list of successful Fringe artists, producers and administrators presenting throughout this 6-part series. Please enjoy, engage, ask all the questions of the presenters and let's get excited about Fringe.
My name's Holly Lombardo and I'm the Director of World Fringe.
My name's Madonna Davies. I'm the North Queensland Regional Arts Service Officer for the Regional Arts Service Network. My main role these days is wrangling artists together and creating pretty much multi-art form events and evenings. I have a background in music and theatre and various other performing art forms. And what I do mostly now is coordinate.
I'm Heather Kroll. I'm the Director and CEO at the Adelaide Fringe. I've been leading the Adelaide Fringe now for about 6 years. I've been working in Fringe for around about 30 years. I worked in the Adelaide Fringe. The first time I worked in the Adelaide Fringe was in 1992 and have worked running venues, putting on events and then running lots of festivals around the world, and I ended up coming back to Adelaide Fringe to be the director in 2015.
Fringe means the world to me, actually, and I've been working in Fringe since 2001, where I helped form and found the Brighton Fringe, which was a box of cheques, and it was a badly squeezed together bit of print at the back of the programme festival, so it was called the Umbrella, and then we changed the name to Open, and then Fringe Festival, and obviously now it's highly successful. Also been working at the Edinburgh Fringe, been going there for 18 years or something crazy every year, and now pulled all of my knowledge of Fringe and everyone that I'd met along the way into founding World Fringe, which is a network of Fringe festivals across the globe, and launched that in 2007, and it has been a roller coaster ride ever since. And I've made amazing colleagues, travelled the world, and have got a wonderful group of Fringe family and friendships through World Fringe.
As soon as I hear the word Fringe Festival, I get very excited. It brings a smile to my face and I just start filling with energy. I love the energy and the vibrancy that that fringe element can bring to a city, to a community, to a region. When we talk about Fringe Festivals, for me, it's about, particularly where we are at now, in North Queensland, starting this new idea. It's all about risk. And that's exciting, and that's what the arts should be about. We should be always pushing the boundaries of what people think is possible and what can be done and what can't be done. And Fringe Festivals are great for that. I think of tourism. I think of the amazing opportunity to grow the tourism sector in North Queensland.
Fringe means to me is a platform for artists and venues and every other creative entrepreneur there is to come on board and do whatever it is that they want to do with an audience. So because Fringe is generally an uncurated festival, it's an open access festival. So if people have got something they want to express, they've got a show they want to put on, the Fringe is where they can do that and where they can find an audience. And it's often a launch pad for artists who are, get picked up and taken on tour all over the world. Fringe is a great way to bring creativity into your town or city or whatever space it is that you have a Fringe going. There's over 300 Fringe Festivals around the world now, so it's a festival type that people can do in any city around the world, whether it's big population or a small population. The very first Fringe in the world was Edinburgh Fringe, and that's about 75 years old. So they definitely launched the idea of Fringe. They were born, originally Fringe Festivals were born on the side of a curated main festival, and now they will complement what the main festival might be doing. So originally Fringes are born on the side of a curated festival. It's no longer the case that they are nowadays. Nowadays, a lot of Fringes are standalone in their towns. But originally it was like a complementary festival to the curated festival. So the uncurated open access platform that is Fringe, it was often born on the side of a curated festival. You can look at the Fringe as a little bit of a disruptor because it's communities driven, it's grassroots up, it's not so much top down. We often are a place that the gatekeepers are removed and the audience and the artists can connect directly in Fringe. It's a wonderful place for freedom of expression, and it's also a great place for artists to express themselves and hopefully find their audience. The Adelaide Fringe was born in 1960, and over those years we've grown exponentially. 20 years ago we were selling around about 100,000 tickets, and now we're selling over 850,000 tickets, which makes us the biggest ticket selling arts festival in Australia. Edinburgh Fringe sells almost a couple of million tickets. So, the growth trajectory is there if you allow it to build and build year on year. For example, in the Adelaide Fringe, the ticket growth trajectory is in that graph, showing every single year really growth. And if a ticket 20 years ago when we were selling 100,000 tickets, that was still an enormous arts festival. But to now be selling 850,000 tickets is truly phenomenal. Everybody comes out. Fringe is for everybody. There's often kids shows, late night shows. Fringe can go day and night. These are the sort of numbers that come to Adelaide Fringe. So over 6,000 artists, over 1,000 shows across almost 500 venues. So it is truly a takeover over the whole city, and we definitely see that in Edinburgh as well, a complete transformation of the city. Not only does Fringe benefit the artists and our purpose is to sell tickets for the artists. That's what we're here for. We're here to try and help artists find an audience and earn some ticket money from the box office, and also be discovered by other festivals and take them on tour. But there are a lot of other benefits in Fringe Festivals. So we drive a lot of tourist dollars into Adelaide and into South Australia. So over the years, you can see the tourist dollars have been going up and up. The hotel bed nights are going up and up. So there's the benefits of having a Fringe are just, it's hard to measure. You can measure the tourist dollars, you can, but it's so hard to measure how we lift the morale of the town, how we boost people's health and well-being. We're great for confidence and people's levels of happiness. And so Fringe has a lot of health benefits, not just the benefits of actually that you can tangibly measure, like the ticket sales or the lift in tourism spend, but there's also a health and well-being that is immeasurable and real from Fringe. We know that people during Adelaide Fringe are at the happiest they are all year in Adelaide. So there's a lot that we a lot of Fringe can have a lot of benefits, and it can go well beyond the experience of just the ticket sales and the tourist lift and the connections.
The goal of Fringe is, it varies for every festival. So every time a new Fringe pops up, it can be because there's a lack of support for independent artists in that city or town, or the Fringe Festival could be trying to change the political landscape of an area or a country, or for regeneration, and it can be run by people who are festival lovers and creative lovers but are really incredible administrators, or they can be run by artists themselves or venues. So for every Fringe they have a completely unique reason to start or continue. However, their ethos is always the same, and that is independence and creativity and creating a platform for exploration. So lots of people, when you say Fringe Festival, they think Edinburgh, and the other large ones like Fringe World, Perth, Adelaide Fringe, Brighton Fringe, etc. But as we well know, there are over 300 Fringe Festivals now all across the world, and they range from programming of music in a pub over a weekend to massive, great big festivals with permanent and semi-permanent or temporary structures. So they all generate income for those towns and cities around them. They generate a sense of place and people being proud of the place they live in. They're very much for the locals and local artists, but there is a lot of transient and travelling touring companies and staff as well, and organisations. So you might get venues that pop up in different places, and producers, and even people who rent accommodation, ticket suppliers now travel all over the world supplying to different Fringe festivals. It's an incredible network.
When the Adelaide Fringe started out, we only had a few shows, probably sold a few thousand tickets. So over the 60 years, we've really seen huge growth. This year in 2020, we were selling on average 25,000 to 30,000 tickets a day. So it's certainly the humble beginnings. No one could have really predicted where the Fringe could have got to from the tiny beginnings that were in 1960. So it was born out of bravery. Most Fringe festivals are artist-led in their beginnings, and when they are launched, it's because artists are looking for a place to perform. They're not getting invited into the major festivals, and so it's always been about bravery. Fringe is about bravery. I mean, I look at back, we've created a 60 years of Adelaide Fringe book, which takes us through every decade, every Fringe ever, right from the very beginning. And this is the first Fringe I was involved in 1992, and that was a big year for Adelaide Fringe. We had Stomp premiering their show They were the huge hit of that year, and then went on to take the world by storm. And that's something that, as we go through all the years in Adelaide Fringe, again and again you'll find shows that were launched and then took the world by storm. So that's something that I see a lot more tracking on. A lot of Fringe festivals are responsible for launching many artists' careers. In terms of, so Edinburgh Fringe was first, 75 years ago. Adelaide Fringe was 60 years ago. And we have long been the second biggest fringe in the world. We are selling over 800,000 tickets a year these days. So it makes us the biggest arts festival in Australia, but it still keeps us right up there as the second biggest fringe in the world. Australia has a lot of great fringe festivals. Some of them are only a few years old. Some of them are a few decades old. Adelaide Fringe is the oldest at 60 years. But every fringe is having a wonderful impact for artists and their region, no matter their size. Obviously, our impact has been developed over many decades. So the scale of the Adelaide Fringe is not something that you could just parachute down in the beginning of a fringe festival's life. It's something that is grown accumulatively over the decades.
So every town or city or place that has a fringe festival is so lucky because they get to develop a lot of community cohesion with the events that they put on, not just with audiences but with the artistic community and the businesses as well, that all benefit from more footfall and people coming. It gets recognised as a place to visit and a reason to go. It's families who live there. Local residents will always invite friends or friends to come and stay. So you get that kind of touristy feeling as well for a fringe festival. And it's just the most incredible platform to be proud of for towns. And it really puts them on the global map as well. People will always recognise if there's a fringe in your city, and hopefully they'll understand what it means, and that is independent arts doing what it does best, and creating a buzz and having a party, having a good time, but also supplying income for that artistic community as well, and the industries that surround that, which is so important.
One of the wonderful things about a city or a community hosting a fringe festival is the way that it brings the community together, the way that artists and community arts workers and local businesses and councils actually have a common goal. And to me, that's something that the arts represents in general, but when it becomes part of a larger thing like a fringe festival, suddenly it's not just a series of isolated events and projects and programs that happen over the year, but it's all of those things about community coming together. And anything goes, so it's accessible to all of the community. It doesn't matter if you're a visual artist or a musician or a theatre company or just somebody with a creative idea. Suddenly the arts becomes really inclusive and accessible. So it breaks down those barriers of exclusivity, which I think a lot of people in our community believe the arts is, that it's an exclusive thing and you have to go into a theatre to enjoy it or into a gallery. And so then one of the other things that's going to be wonderful for Townsville, that it's started to happen, is that venues that and spaces and places that wouldn't normally be activated suddenly become alive for this period of time. It's a risk. It's a risk for the artists. It's a risk for the audiences. It's a risk for the council and the investors and the local businesses who are saying, okay, we want to do this. But if we're smart, we start looking forward into the future and we grow this thing. We grow this Townsville Fringe Festival, just like every other Fringe Festival has grown over decades and decades and decades. And we do have the potential for the Northern Australian Festival of Arts Fringe Festival to be something incredible and amazing in the years to come.
For any city, Townsville, Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide, Mount Gambier, everywhere. For every city that has a fringe, the fringe can play a great role in bringing the community together, bringing your city to life, particularly in the pop-up nature that fringe can often take, which means that you see parks transform into wonderlands, festival wonderlands with Spiegel tents and other pop-up venues. So sometimes fringe has got that magical wonderland experience that doesn't last all year. And that's the other thing, is that fringe is a transformative event in most cases. Then venues can be existing theatres, they can be pop-ups with tents and laundromats transforming into a theatre. You can have fringe anywhere, and that's the accessibility of fringe is so important. Fringe being accessible for the artists, for any other creative entrepreneurs that want to get involved, and also it's very affordable in general for the audience. In terms of budgets, in terms of investment for councils and government, you generally find that fringe will deliver a lot of outcomes for not as many dollars as a top-down curated festival will cost. And so you often find that fringe is great value for money, and that goes from the ticket price right through to the outcomes to the regions.
I have so many memories of travelling to fringe festivals. I've got some beautiful and crazy memories, such as travelling to the islands of the Azores for 36 hours to be with Terry, and there I got to give out an award to their president and tell him about how incredible fringe festivals are all around the world. I've got 1,000 memories from going to the Edinburgh Fringe, and also to Adelaide. I've just been to hundreds, and each time I am reminded of the wonder and beauty that is fringe, and everyone getting together and meeting up with old friends. And sometimes you meet somebody and you think, I'm clicking with you, and you're really great, and then you find out that they are they've been in fringe, they've been involved, or they run a fringe, or they visited as a audience member, or they're an artist. And it's a real community of people. It's a small world in fringe, but it's a massive one. There's so much opportunity as well. Oh, the memories, I couldn't tell you. I've got too many, and all my fringe family can probably tell you some as well. It's been a brilliantly beautiful ride.
Well, I've thought about this, and for me it's actually the Fringe Festival is, or Fringe Festivals are a collection of moments that sort of drive you and push you through day after day after day after day through these amazing festivals. You know, from going to my first Edinburgh Fringe Festival and being completely blown away just by the number of people was something I'd never seen before, and wandering around Cowsgate and going, oh my God, what am I going to go and see next? And sitting in a pub with a whole bunch of people having a gin and tonic and just blindly pointing at something in this enormous program that's like an encyclopedia. So that's like this collection of experiences. To me, that's the sort of memories that I get from, that create memories from fringe festivals. Going to the Adelaide Fringe Festival and seeing Finucane and Smith doing the burlesque hour in the Spiegel tent was something absolutely incredible. just get to see things you would never get to see before, and there's no one real memory. It's just a collection for me of a lot of different experiences, and just getting to see, I guess, what's out there and what's possible. To me is what is the memorable thing, and I have always leave going, oh my God, we can literally do anything, and I'm just always so inspired.
I first worked in Fringe in 1992. I was running a venue there called the Star Club, and we had Stomp in the Star Club, and it was an unexpected hit, or it was an unpredicted hit. There were queues around the corner. Every show they added would sell out. So literally everybody in Adelaide wanted to see Stomp. And one night Bob Dylan was playing a concert down at the entertainment centre, and we did get a message through that Bob Dylan would like to come and see the midnight show of Stomp, and we had to sneak him in through the back door. And because of the way Fringe often is, that the back door was through the toilets, so we had to sneak Bob Dylan in through the toilets, and he got to see Stomp. And so, you know, it just shows that every Fringe is something for everybody. Even international superstars that have just finished a concert, if they hear about a great Fringe show, they also want to get along. So there's something about the magic of Fringe. It's contagious, and everybody wants to come along, whether they're a granny or a little toddler. Fringe is for everybody.